Are you all enjoying the series on Jesus and his work? Good. Okay. Last week, Cheryl started us out on the journey, and this is when Jesus first goes to Jerusalem to teach his people. Because he's been doing lots of other things, and then he goes back to begin the first of his 3 years. And she told about how his message was basically the Christ is within. You all remember this? Mm-hmm. Do you remember what your 2 steps are? Oh! So they don't. Purify anything within yourself that keeps you from that divinity. Purify yourself, and then do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that is also an act of purification, because you're going to be lifting yourself into a higher frequency. So do you think we might want to do a little bit more homework on those 2 items? All right. The internal journey always brings external consequences. So as we internally seek to become more loving, more kind, more awake, and more aware, the external gives that back to us. It reflects that back to us. So, I'm going to now pick up on his travels to Jerusalem. He really has been teaching the people about this idea of the kingdom is within, there are no rules, there is no king, the king is in every heart, every man is a soul, this is where you find God. This is the message. So he goes to Jerusalem and he's there on a Sabbath, and the people are thronging to hear him. They want to hear who this man is and what he has to say, because this message is so new. And what does it give them? It takes the power from the priesthood and gives them an ability to make a decision themselves. It puts the power back into their own hearts, which is very new for them in a religious setting. And on the Sabbath, that's a very holy time. That's where everybody gathers at the temple. That's why everybody's there. So when we pick up in chapter 74, this is the first time Jesus is actually healing in Jerusalem. We've seen him heal before. He's healed in other places, but he's actually healing in Jerusalem. So it says, the blind, the deaf, the dumb, and those obsessed were there, and Jesus spoke the word, and they were healed. On some he laid his hands, and they were healed. To others he just spoke the word, and they were full restored to health. But others had to go and wash in certain pools, and others he anointed with a holy oil. And the doctor asked him why he healed in such diverse ways. A doctor, a physical doctor, said, "Why do you heal in diverse ways?" Don't doctors heal in diverse ways? Yes. But he was curious, and this is what Jesus said. The body is a harpsichord. Sometimes the strings are too relaxed, and then inharmony results. Sometimes we find the strings too tense, and another form of discord is induced. Disease is many formed, and there are many ways to cure and to tune the mystic harpsichord. Easy. When the people came in that moment, they were receptive. And what is healing about? It's, in our world, we call it lifting from one level of consciousness to another, going from one level of being to a higher level of consciousness. We're actually changing a thought within ourselves. We're changing a causal thought. Every illness, every disease, everything that we experience that is uncomfortable is created by discord somewhere in our mystic harpsichord. There's a thought somewhere within us that's crooked or blocking the flow of energy. And then a illness is created because of this. So when I was preparing this, Spirit reminded me of a little story, and they wanted me to share this. It's very simple, but there's a reason for it. In my years, I have seen this child's story done in many, many ways over time. And so I will paraphrase it for you. There was a doggy, a little puppy, who lost his way and got lost, and he could not find where he came from. So he goes roaming out into the wilderness, into the woods, and he sees a big bird coming by and landing nearby. And he says to the bird, are you my mama? Do y'all remember the story? Mm-hmm. And the bird says, well, can you fly like me? And the bird begins to fly. The little puppy does his legs and flaps his ears, and he can't fly. He says, no, I can't fly. Well, I'm not your mama. Off it goes. So he's looking around, lost in the wilderness. And here comes this beautiful bunny hopping by. And he sees the bunny. It looks like it's a little bit like this could be it. He stops the bunny and he says, are you my mama? And the bunny looks at him and says, well, can you hop like this? Boom, 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 boom. And the little puppy goes, oh, no, I don't know. And he tries, and he just goes up and down, and he can't propel himself, and he can't get momentum. And the bunny says, well, I'm not your mama then. And our little puppy in the story goes through at least 6 different characters that are not his mom until he finds his mom once again. Our story ends, the puppy's happy, oh my mommy, she barks like me, she has ears like me, she wags her tail like me. I have found my mommy. What we don't realize is, when the puppy finally finds its mom, it is now filled with many causal thoughts about what it is not. I cannot fly. I have failed. I cannot hop. I have failed. Do you see? So as the puppy returns home, it knows what it is not, more even than it knows what it is. If the puppy had known its mama beforehand and knew it was a puppy and went out in the world and met all these creatures, it would have been a totally different experience, wouldn't it? Because I know who I am. I know who I am, and I'm meeting all these unique beings. And I would show them how I wag my tail and flop my ears. And I would watch them fly. But I did not know who I was. The puppy. This is how causal thoughts of illness are created. When we do not know who we are and we take ourselves out into the world and we compare ourselves to things around, don't you think that if that little puppy had the causal thought, I couldn't jump, do you think that he might have one day limped a little bit because the legs didn't do what he wanted it to do? Do you think a causal thought might have stuck in there and he might have created an illness with his leg?
Yes.
Thank you. When the people came to be healed, what Jesus did was go in and shift their causal thought. What do you think the thought was that he supplanted in them? Let me tell you who your mama is. Let me tell you who your father is. Let me tell you, God is your creator. You're a child of God. Now let's go in and let's erase this idea that you have to fly like a bird. Let's erase this idea that you're not capable. Let's go in there and erase that. Do you see? Who are you? Knowing who you are. If we don't know who we are going to create causal thoughts that create less than the perfect nature that we are. Take a breath. All right. In a Quest, we do teach about the 4 aspects of how Jesus healed. And this gives us some wisdom and understanding about the diversity of why he healed the way he did. The first thing that he always did, always, was he would say to the people, would you be healed? Because not everybody's receptive. You know, and they're not going to record in the text all the people that said, nah, I'm good. You know, they're not going to write about them. They're only going to write about the people that say, yeah, I'm here. So they say, yes, I would be healed. I am receptive. So they thronged him at the synagogue. They thronged him. Don't you think if I was there, I would be looking for something wrong with me? Oh, I got to have something wrong. I want to be there. I want him to touch me. I want him to just be in his presence, you know. They thronged him for the healings. So he would always ask for permission. And then the second thing that he always did, he healed within the belief system of the person, which is why the diversity of thought. Remember, we'll hit in some chapters forward, there was a blind man that he healed. He actually picked up dirt and spit on it, made a paste, and put it on the man's eyes. And then he had the man go to a holy fountain and wash his eyes and say a word 7 times. Well, that's a lot. Whereas other people, he might just go, okay, you see, look up. One guy, he said, just look to the sky. Oh my God, I can see the sky. Yeah, you can see the sky. That's how quickly he was able to be healed. Do you see the difference? The man who had the paste literally had to move through beliefs that would not allow him to receive it instantly. He literally had to have something put on his eye. How many children in our world today, when they hurt themselves, cannot just take a kiss? They must have a Band-Aid. Yes. I must have something must be there. You know? David was raised just Reiki. He would come in Reiki, Reiki. When he was little. And Patrick was always funny with it. Patrick would say, let's see what Reiki can do this time. He told him. But he was raised with that. He didn't need the Band-Aids. It's our belief system. So some people could take the healing with the word. Some people could take the healing with the rules. Some people had to go and do something. In the Jewish faith, there are a lot of rules. If you were sick with this, you had to do that or this or that. Y'all are aware of those hygiene health laws. So if someone was really into that, he would give them something to do, a rule to comply with. But it's all about the individual belief system. In our world, what do we believe in? Medicine. We believe in medicine in our world. So give me a pill and I'll be good. Do we believe in the value of food? Not so much. But is not food medicine?
Yes.
Yes. Do we believe in the value of energy as a people?
Yes.
Not so much. But is not food energy? Is not medicine energy? See? So someone with the very same thing, having two different belief systems, would need someone with the very same thing. Let's say we have the traditional person who loves the meds, someone who is a food knowledgeable, natural person, and someone who's an energy person. The very same illness, they'll approach 3 different ways. Because that's how it can come into them. And guess what? It doesn't matter. What matters is it goes in. Jesus never said, change what you believe. He said, come here. Are you willing to change? Then let me help you change. He never said, now stop doing meds and start doing this. He did exactly what they needed. Everybody clear? All right. Then there was conscious mind participation. This is the third thing. You always have to do something. Even the people who just looked up and saw the sky, they looked up. Even those that he just touched, they received the touch. There has to be some interaction to receive a healing. It's not just hit and hope. It's breathing it in. It's taking it in. It's doing something. Conscious mind participation. And then the fourth aspect of how he always healed is he would say, don't go back and think what you've been thinking. Go and sin no more. Don't do what you've been doing. Think differently. Think differently. And if he went in and shifted that causal thought within them, which is what he did, he erased the belief that they were supposed to fly and reminded them who their mother-father is. Now think on that. Think on that. Remember the message that Cheryl talked with you guys about so much last week. The Christ in you, the divinity in you. Think on that. Think on that perfection. And you will not recreate what has just been healed. Okay. Everybody take a breath. See, can you understand why so many diverse ways? Healing the harpsichord is all about restructuring it so it can flow the perfection of who it is, the perfection of what's inside. Then, that very same chapter, it tells us about what Jesus did when he was just being himself. When he was just by himself, the masses were not there, and he was just being him. It says, in the evening, Jesus stood beside a pool, and a child had fallen in and was drowned, and the friends were carrying it away. But Jesus called the carriers to stop, and he stretched himself upon the lifeless form and breathed into its mouth. And he called aloud, and the soul that had gone out returned, and the child revived and lived. Because it was on his path. He happened to be there. And he brought the child back. Jesus saw a wounded dog. It could not move. It lay beside the way and groaned in pain. He took it in his arms and took it to where he lived. He poured healing oil into the wounds, and he cared for it as though it were a child till it was well and strong. Little puppy. He poured oil into its wounds, and he loved it, and he cared for it. We don't think about Jesus stopping by the wayside and taking care of a puppy. Do you think the puppy was ready to be healed? It was crying in pain. And the human, Jesus, the man, took the time to care for the puppy. It wasn't just a quick, open your eyes. It was a, let me care for you. He took the puppy in. And then he saw a little boy who had no home, and he was hungry. And Jesus called for bread, and the people turned away. All the people who followed him, who loved him, who wanted to hear him, when he asked for bread, the people turned away because he was not in the synagogue. Do you understand? He was in his world, walking, and the people didn't see him. But did he stop being who he was? No. He took the child and gave him bread and wrapped him in his own warm coat and found a home for him. And those who followed him, he had 6 disciples with him at this time, they said, they were curious about what he had done, and he said, if a man would gain again his lost estate, which is the Christ within, he must respect the brotherhood of life. Whoever is not kind to every form of life cannot expect the blessings of the Holy One. For as we give, so God will give to us. The healing, the sharing, the loving does not stop when you're off. Living as a Christ is not a job. It is a way. It's a way of being. A way of life. It's where we are always awake to our divinity in every moment. Can you just see him taking that dog? Can you just imagine if he had gone to the synagogue and said, y'all, I found a dog that needs a home. Would they not fight for that dog? There would be a line fighting for the dog because Jesus had a dog. Give me that dog. Give me that kid. But in the ways of life, in the everyday of life, we do not find that receptivity, do we? But should we change who we are? No. I love the story of Jesus and the dog. I just think it's precious. Christing is a way of being. When you connect with the soul of another person, you are always in a space where healing can occur. Do you realize that? When you look at someone and you see the divinity within them, it is quickening the divinity within you as well. And you're in a very fertile, powerful space. You know, when I opened up this morning, I mentioned how we come to this church and everybody's ready. We want to learn. We want to be a part of God consciousness. We want our spark to be alive. You know? We want to be awake. And we see that in each other, and it's great. And we can feel the energy growing because everybody's coming in with this celebration. But sometimes we find ourselves where we're in spaces where it's not quite so. And this is telling us your light can still be important. Your light can still be important. I had 3 incidences on our journey this past week in Florida. Very interesting. One of them, Patrick and I were at Walmart. We had just landed, gathering the supplies for the week. He's off gallivanting looking for something, and I'm standing by the cart doing my service. And I looked down an aisle, and there was an older man. He was an older man, a heavy man, with one of those little things that you ride. And he was off of his riding machine, on one knee, with his arm on the ground, quaking. He was shaking so hard. He was a large man. And I went, oh no, and his head was down, I couldn't see his face. And I tried to assess, is he ill? Is he okay? And I just go. So I went over to him, and the first thing I saw in his basket, he had 2 videos on Korea. Okay, he's probably a soldier. So I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, are you okay? And this gruff voice came out. And he said, I'm just trying to get something off the bottom shelf. It's like, okay, I know that voice. I've been around voices like that before. I'm not swayed by that voice. So I just kept my hand there. And I stayed with him. And then he swung up and he looked at me. His eyes were blue and bright. And he was alive and he's awake. I went, oh my God, the guy's awake. He's alive. This is awesome. He was older. And he was definitely not in good health. And so he started getting these things out of the bottom shelf and throwing them in his basket. And I knew, because God showed me his belief system, not to interfere. This is not a man where you go, let me do that for you. This is a man where you just hold the light in case he needs help. He's a soldier. So he's throwing the things up in this basket, and I'm just talking and listening, and he's discussing about how the bigger things are more expensive, and you just have to buy more of the small ones because it's cheaper, and he got every last one from at the bottom. And I helped him arrange it. And I held the thing. I didn't want him to fall. I said, is this going to hold you? Yeah, it'll hold me. So he got back up. I wasn't going to leave till he was back on his little scooter. And he looked at me. And in his eyes, I saw a life force that was eternal. I saw a spark of divinity that was strong. No matter what he believed, his life was strong. Now, he may not be long for this earth plane. I don't know. But I saw him, and he knew I saw him. And I didn't say a word. And he said to me, well, growing old is such a joy. And I saw Patrick had just made it back to the basket, and I went, well, then you have a joyful time. Gave him a pat, and off I went. That was it. That was it. To me, it was a great honor to see someone who was awake, to see someone who was alive, and to have that moment of just sharing with him was such a great honor. And I had the other 2 instances were very brief. I saw a 2-year-old in a McDonald's, and I saw him, and he saw me, and we knew each other, and it was amazing, that fast. And then we went to Walmart a few days later and had to go to the restroom, and there was a little girl ghost in the restroom. So I got to see her, and I got to talk with her and help her find her way home. 3 times. 3 times in a week. I know I touched and was seen. And in those 3 times, I knew who my mama was. I knew who my mama was. And so often we walk in this world not knowing who is my mom, who is my dad. And we compare ourselves, and we can't fly, and we can't jump, and we can't do what everybody else does. But we are divine. We are that Christ. The Christ formed, like Cheryl read last week, the Christ formed in Jesus Christ is formed in everyone. The divinity, what makes us animated, is our perfect Christic nature. It doesn't matter what we believe. It doesn't matter our faith. It makes us animated. And when we can touch that, we know who we are. And when we know who we are, guess what does not happen? You do not need to be healed. You do not create energies that are not vibrating with you. What if we could take that one idea into our healing manifesto? If I am not feeling well, let me just remember I am God's child. If we could just put that in there, let me just remember I'm a child of God. And if I need to touch someone's divinity, let me find someone whose eyes I can look into. Come here, grab somebody, look in their eyes. I just need to see my divinity in you and your divinity in me. I need to touch you. Grab somebody and connect. And feel that awesomeness that we are. Jesus' teachings and words were the healing balm. The act was simply making it so. We need those ideas and words deep within our body. So you ready to take it in?
Yes.
All right, so let's just see a beautiful column of light come over you. And just imagine a beautiful green, whatever color green comes to you, moving through this column of light now. A beautiful healing green energy of love. And let it move into where you sit in your chair, into your mind, into your body, moving down through the cells, the heart, the hands, going down into the feet, the ground. And feel how deeply loved you are. And now let this beautiful green lift you up. And I want you to imagine yourself lifting up into a beautiful white light. And as you move into this space, just feel the love. Nothing but love. Just feel the love around you. Beautiful light, beautiful light. And feel the presence of Father, Mother, God. Open your heart. And in your own heart, just say, God, I love you. You are my creator, my father, my mother. You are this radiant light. Therefore, I am this radiant light. And feel the beautiful wonder of God's love pouring through you. I am this radiant light. And feel that you can just be in that energy of God love. And imagine you can just look back and see the beautiful green that is holding your body safe. And begin to realize that you are always safe, no matter what you are experiencing. You are always safe. You have never left God. Breathe. Let your energy come back into that body that's surrounded by the green column of light. And as you come back and you feel yourself in the physical, you feel the light all around you, that beautiful green. Begin to feel that God presence is in everything. And feel your heart opening. And if you are ready, say this in your heart. If you are not, that's okay. I am ready. God, I am ready to know who I am. I am done learning who I am not. I am ready to learn who I am. I'm done with learning who I am not. Feel the heart open. Feel yourself letting go. Feel your angels and guides and teachers just beginning to surround and support you. And just imagine that beautiful energy of Jesus the Christ just right in front of you. Take him by the hand. I will follow you, so I can remember all that you remember. So I can know for certain who I am. Feel the light expanding. Take a breath. Feel this beautiful green column of light getting so big and so strong and so bright around you. You are ever safe in the heart of God. Ever safe. God, we thank you. I ask that your light continue to bless each one, taking them out into monumentous moments of joy and peace as they become greater and greater lights. My brothers, my sisters, my family. And we thank you, God. Take a breath. Let your light come out into the room. And just gently open your eyes. Were you all able to say that? Ready to learn who you are? Good. I support you totally. And if anybody needs eye-to-eye validation, I am available. I will look you in the eye and tell you what I see. Say, yay, God.
Yeah.